Good. All right, everybody, good evening. It is Michelle Poe and Mr. Stu Brodie. I am from Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and Stu is from the San Diego area in California. And what a beautiful place all year round to be living. I can't even tell you how excited I am to have you all on here tonight, because we are here to share what my husband Shawn and I say. We just say it's outside of our God and family. We feel this is the greatest blessing that's been given to us. And it's because of so many reasons. 6 years ago, I was introduced to, these products through a ABC investigative report. And if you haven't seen that ABC primetime investigative report, go there immediately following this. The website is www.abcliveit.com. And when you go there, you're going to see, like I said, that ABC Primetime Investigative Report, and those things never end positive. And you will be wowed if you haven't seen it, because it ends positive. And that was the start to the story that we have here. And my girlfriend that introduced this to me, who is a dietitian at the Heart Hospital here in Sioux Falls, she came to me and said, Michelle, I know you're entrepreneurial and you're passionate about people and you're passionate about health. You've got to see this. And with it coming from her, I knew that I had to listen. She did not know that my dad died of a heart attack at 42. She did not know that I had been dealing with some massive health issues for over 5 years. I had been to Mayo Clinic, Cleveland Clinic, neurologists all over the place. They couldn't figure out what was going on with me. I just tried to stay strong. She did not know that. She also didn't know that Shawn and I were working she knew that we were working like crazy, but she probably didn't know to the extreme of I was working full-time, he was working full-time. We also had an online business and 2 little girls and a lady living with us from Spain. So, the definition of when this came to us of an opportunity outside of just taking these unbelievable products, people sometimes be like, there's no way, they're way too busy. But I'm telling you, busy people get things done. And when you hear from Stu tonight what we have our hands on, you just truly feel a responsibility to share this with the world in whatever way it is. We just meet people where they are for whatever they need in their life. And Stu is somebody that we called immediately after we learned about the opportunity side and said, will you teach us, tell us what this is how does this whole business work? Because we had never done anything like it before. And he knew nothing about us. And I talk about this all the time because it speaks to the quality of the people that we have in our company. We called him up, or actually I think I texted Stu and had my husband on there as well and said, hey, we're new, we're from South Dakota. We would love your expertise if you could offer it up. And he responded basically immediately, and we were at church, and I said, Shawn, you better give him a call right away. Shawn and Stu spoke for over an hour, maybe, I think even longer than that. And he's amazing. And I'm so excited for you to see him speak tonight, because if you heard me before we started this recording, I just said, the beautiful thing about Stu is who Stu is. And he is a lover. He has a background as a sheriff. He worked in the law enforcement area. He had his own businesses, and then he got into banking, and he was a VP of over $100 million, Stu, correct me if I'm wrong, $100 million banking division. So Stu is business savvy. He's got a heart of gold. He knows what we have our hands on. He loves our products. And he's a grandfather, which is his greatest joy in the world right now, is being with his grandbabies and spending quality. Oh, look at the top, if you guys can see that hat. He's putting greatest grandpa ever up there. He loves to have a great time. And this business, not only has it helped his health, but it's given him the quality time that he can have with his family. And that, as we all know, is one of the greatest gifts that can be given. So I'm going to bring Stu on here. He's known about network marketing and this business. I think you started learning about all this in 1989. Is that right, Mr.
Yes.
Freedom Shirt?
Yeah, Freedom, yeah.
Yes,
that's
1989. Right. And he's been with Lifevantage now for close to 9 years?
No, 7.
No, 7. I'm sorry, I don't know why I said that.
No, you've got a little dyslexia too. It's going to be 7. Going to be 7 years on the 19th.
7 years on the 19th.
Yeah.
And so for those of you that are tuning in that are guest number one, we welcome you. And we're just so excited you're here. You couldn't be hearing from a better person. Stu is the reason that we're all here. He brought this to us, and he is the one that started this entire business and gift throughout not only the United States, but through all over the world. And he'll share with you how many people, I'm guessing, how many customers and distributors he's had because of him saying yes. And that's the beauty of what you have here, too, because, you know, you say yes to these products or this opportunity, or just sharing with people. If you're not interested in any of it, you never know where that will lead. The domino effect of what can truly happen to individuals. So Stu, thank you so much. I know you're a very busy man, and we appreciate you taking the time for all of us tonight to share your knowledge, your expertise, your heart, and your fun wit.
Thank you, Michelle. I love you. It's so funny that people say, you know, you're so busy. Not so. I mean, today I went out to, I worked out at about 5:30 to about 7. And then I came home, I took a quick shower and then went out to the boat, and I was polishing part of my boat. Couldn't polish the whole thing. It's just too much work. And then I came back to do the Aussie webinar. And here we are, and I was just eating. So it's been a real busy day. I've just been doing a lot of work. Anyway, it's great to be here. Thank you for inviting me, Michelle. And for those of you that have joined us tonight, thank you for joining us. I'm super pumped up and excited. I'm going to try to articulate the best I can on why Lifevantage and what has happened to Carla and myself. It's interesting because, you know, I used to think of all the things that I wanted, all the material things that I wanted and things that I thought were important that maybe, you know, defined me in a way. By the way, because I'm dyslexic and ADD, I've got to go somewhere else real quick. Michelle, the only reason, I mean, it was so exciting. The reason I talked for over an hour with Shawn is because somebody would listen to me that long. That's the only reason, let me tell you. Anyway, the bottom line is that, you know, now that we really do have total and complete financial freedom, and I want you to think about this for a moment. I mean, if you're brand new, you know, you might not get the full impact of this, but, you know, you can make Pro 8 at 200,000, and you can make Pro 9 if you have $500,000 in organizational volume. Now, if we just use a 5%, say you're only earning 5%, we earn a lot more than that, but say you're only earning 5% of that volume. At 200,000, it's 10,000 a month, right? 5% of 200,000 is 10,000. But if you're doing 499,000, you're not quite a 9, but guess what your check's going to be? That part of your check's going to be like 25,000. So there's a huge difference. Now at 10, even though I'm not a 10, our group does over $3 million a month. And so you can imagine what kind of money that is. Now I can't capture it all, but I capture a lion's percentage of that. And, you know, we're going to be leaving a legacy for our kids and our grandkids, which is really, really super exciting. But money is not really that important when it's there. Those things that I thought were important at the time, I don't even want them. I mean, we live on nothing. I mean, it's like, it's really funny what happens, and we can help a lot of people in a lot of causes. So, you know, the bigger picture is that you get a whole lot more back, you know, when you help other people in all kinds of ways. So when I first looked at this, I was already involved in another company, and I really wasn't interested in starting another opportunity. I was more interested in the product and what the product did. And the reason I was interested in the product is, like Michelle, my dad, I didn't know that, Michelle, my dad died when he was 44 and I was 14 years old. And I think back and I think about that ABC, and what really jumped out at me, I mean, how many of us, all of us, have somebody in our family, some friends or somebody that's been affected by heart disease, high blood pressure, cholesterol, cancer. So those are buzzwords. So when I watched the ABC for the very, very first time, and they were talking, Dr. McCord was talking about someday, we don't want to make any health claims, but someday we hope there'll be independent science that will validate what this product does. And here we are. with tremendous independent science about the heart from the American Heart Association. I mean, there's just so much out there. So those are the things that resonated with me, because my mom passed away with pancreatic cancer. Her mother passed away with stomach cancer. So we've got all these things going on in our family, as well as probably you do too. We've all been affected by that. So if there was anything that would help, not cure, not anything like, but if it would help, I'm all over it. I'm on it. I've been taking vitamins and minerals since my dad died when I was 14 years old. I remember trying to woof down these things called Theragrams that were like that big, and it was like, ugh. But anyway, so just real briefly, I'll tell you that I was in law enforcement. I was in law enforcement because I was sort of like a juvenile delinquent. After my dad died, I flipped out. I went crazy, and I did a lot of bad things. I mean, not horrible things, but I was stealing and doing all kinds of stupid stuff. But anyway, my best friend's dad was a lieutenant on the Los Angeles Police Department. He kind of picked me up by my bootstraps and kind of got me squared away. And he became a mentor for me. I don't know about you, but did anybody ever do anything in your life where you kind of looked up to them and you appreciated them, whether it be a pastor or, a rabbi or anybody that kind of affected you? And that's what this guy did. And I felt like I really want to give back someday. And I thought, I'm not going to do what my dad did. Oh my gosh, my dog, my kids have a dog just like that. They call him Charlie. Those are great dogs. They're great. Anyway, see, I just flip out. So anyway, I was too short to become a cop. So I used to hang from door frames trying to stretch my neck by 2 inches, because you had to be 5'8". That was the minimum height, and I'm 5'6" and a quarter. Make a long story short, they changed the rules eventually, and I eventually got hired, and I was a cop for 5 years, and I worked patrol, I worked the jail, I did all kinds of different duties. But what I found is that you're always there after somebody was violated, after something happened, after a crime scene or a crime had already been committed. And here I am taking a police report, and these people's lives were devastated. They were absolutely ruined. And more than helping, I felt just the opposite. I felt helpless. And I just couldn't stomach it anymore. I'm a pretty emotional guy, pretty passionate guy. So I started looking back to what I did before I was a cop, and that was real estate. So I opened up a real estate company, quit being a cop. And that led 4 or 5 years later, selling the real estate company and transitioning into mortgage lending, and eventually getting headhunted and running a $100 million division of a bank, which, I had incredible employees. That's the bottom line. I had just incredible people. And one of the toughest days of my life was laying them off, because they really made my job easy. They did all the work. I just kind of supervised them, but I paid the highest I could pay. And I recruited the very, very, very finest and best people I could get, because, I didn't want problems. And so these people were the best of the best. Anyway, they ended up closing our division about 3 years after I got started. They closed like 4 different regional divisions because of mistakes that the bank made. But I didn't know what I was going to do. And I ended up at this guy's house, and I thought I was going for a one-on-one interview. And it turned out that it was a network marketing company, and it was actually a hair regrowth product. As you can see, it really worked great. Anyway, I couldn't wait to get out of there. I was uncomfortable. I don't know how you feel when you're in an uncomfortable situation, but it was a real estate related ad. So I knew some of the people in the room. It was embarrassing. I mean, my problem is I was too knuckleheaded and too strong-minded and pessimistic and negative that I didn't understand the model. So I just discounted it. But when I left, he gave me an audio cassette tape. I listened to that several weeks later, and it turned out that he was talking about residual income, and bingo bango. I was all over trying to find out some more information, doing some due diligence, and finding out if this could be right for me. And it's really funny, because I took that audio cassette tape and I played it for one of my best friends in the whole world, still my best friend today. He was one of my mentors also. His name's Jerry Mandolfo. He's about 10 years older than I am, and he's just been my best friend since I was 16 years old. And he was a cop in Palm Springs and then became a real estate magnate. He's pretty well off. But anyway, I played it for him on Stanford University campus because we were going up to visit them. And when it was over, he turned to me and he said, "If you're in, I'm in." And that was the start of my network marketing career. So something I want to tell you that I found that I never did, that I should have done. And it really never dawned on me, because like Michelle and Shawn, I'm kind of a go-getter. And I know Michelle might be modest, and Shawn too, but they run it. I mean, they go after it. They beat it. I mean, they're very, very passionate. And when they work like I work. Like I don't take showers for a couple days. I'm just on the phone constantly. And my wife finally comes in, opens the door and says, hey, it's starting to smell in here. Get in the shower. But that's how I am. You know, I mean, I just get in a direction, I get in a groove, and I just go. Go. But the bottom line is, if I could change anything, if I could turn the clock back, and if I could change anything, I would pay more attention when people got started with me. I'd sit down with them. I'd go through the blueprint. I'd find out why they're doing this, like Michelle did with Jason and Beatrix. You know, hey, it's because they have money, but they don't have time. That was my problem when I worked for the bank, is that, you know, I was making $300,000 a year at 30 something years old, but I was never home. I mean, I was always working. And even though a bank's only open 5 days, it was a mortgage division. So we were open all the time, especially the weekends, because that's when, you know, people had open houses and mortgages came and things like that. But anyway, I'm getting off track. The one thing I would do is get people started quicker. I'd say, what are you most excited about? Why do you want to do this? Before they even sign up, why do you want to do this? It'll eliminate a lot of headaches later. And I'm going to find out why they want to do it. And then I'm going to say, you know, let's get right to work right now. You've got a cell phone with hundreds of names in it. Why don't we pick the top 10 and let's just call them and have them watch the ABC. I'll coach you through it. I'll help you. But you got to get them started, because my point was that, like Michelle and Shawn, you're going to find those people that are just go-getters. They're going to say, get out of my way. I'm just going to do this. And they will. And maybe they'll trip and bloody their nose a little bit. Maybe not. But you want them to have the best opportunity to get started. And who knows more than they do? You. And even if you don't feel like you're a resource or you're an expert right now, you know, you have the resources to be able to pull it together and find people upline or sideline that can help them. But the key is to get them started faster and sooner. That's the key. Because once people see a little bit of success, it could be a lousy check. I mean, I was making over 300 grand a year. And in this company that I got started with 28 years ago, my first check was $52. And I was just excited that they paid me, that I got a check. And I thought, wow, well, we get a check every week. So any work that you do this week, you're going to get paid. They're going to get paid next week. And it validates the rest of the story. So that would be one thing I'd do absolutely positively. Let's talk about disrupting technologies. I don't know if you guys know, but Amazon just made an offer and bought Whole Foods today. Whole Foods has about 465 organic stores throughout the United States. Very expensive. They even have some international stores. But here's the big riff. Walmart went out and bought Jet.com because they wanted a bigger online presence. People are tired of going to the store, getting in their car. They'd rather have it delivered. How many of us buy on Amazon habitually? I mean, I have stuff coming every week from Amazon because I just don't want to go out and shop for it all. I'll find out what I want. I'll find it on Amazon or eBay and I'll order it. And mostly it'll be Amazon. Now they're going to get into perishables. They tried to open up a couple fresh stores and it didn't go as well as they expected. So they're going to buy a brick and mortar, an ongoing company, and they're going to deliver within hours to people's homes. That's what's going to happen. Food. And guess what the biggest consumer product is that people buy? Food. So now they're going to be in everybody's face, in everybody's home. It's amazing what just happened today. We are in technology also. We have a company that supplies us with everything. They do all our accounting, all our back office work. They track our people. They track our volume. They pay us on time. They do everything for us. All we have to do is go out and share. And how many of us share a good movie? Whenever we see a great movie, we tell people about it. You know, whenever you have a great experience at a restaurant, you tell your friends about it. If somebody called me up and said, hey, do you know a good doctor? Yeah, I know an awesome doctor. I'd tell them who it is. But we're sharing information habitually. It's part of our nature as human beings. So this is a product that needs to be shared. It didn't work in retail stores. They tried it for like 2 or 3 years. It did not work. They were doing $3 million a year, and they finally did an experiment, and they ran both areas, both retail and the network marketing model, in tandem with one another, and we blew them out of the water. We have the biggest opportunity ever because there's no competition. It's like you have the only electric car in the world or the only automobile in the world. You know, you can't get this anywhere else. And we have this independent science and patents that go from 18 to 22 years. it is the perfect storm. How is this going to happen? How are we going to get to momentum? How are we going to get to a $500 million, $500 million? Because of you and me. If we don't do it, it's not going to happen. And the way it happens is just by sharing with people. I mean, when I first got started, I didn't know anything. I learned by doing three-way calls. That's how I learned. It's not like I came into this by osmosis and I knew everything about Nerf2, about Protandim, about the 5 different ingredients. We only had 2 products, which was anti-aging and Protandim at the time. I learned by listening. I learned by doing research. I use resources all the time. I don't want to have all the answers. I don't want to enable people. I don't want them to think, you got to know what I know to be able to do this. So when people ask questions like compensation plan, I get them a link on YouTube. I'll find a link where it talks about Lifevantage compensation, and I'll send it to them. If they want to know more about the product and how it works, I'll go out and get Joe McCord's Sea Change, and I'll send that to them so that they can actually watch a video. There's some incredible product videos that we have. We've got PubMed if they want to really dig down into the research and find out if this is real. But we've got so many resources that we can use. Sometimes it's overwhelming. But what I'm going to ask people at the end of my call is, what else do you need to know to get started? It's just a simple question. I'm not pressuring them. I'm not being a sales guy. I'm just saying, what else do you need to know to get started? Or are you ready to get started? And they'll tell you, well, I'd like to find out more about this or more about that. Great, and once I get that to you, how long do you think it'll take you to get through it where I can get back to you? Always follow up, because most people do not buy until the 5th, 6th, 7th time. So it's important to understand, and that's why we call it the fortunes and the follow-up. And you're not bugging them. Just say, if they're not interested or they're not going to get started right now, do you mind if I stay in touch with you and let you know how I'm doing? It's real simple. Do you mind? Whenever I first got started, it brings me to another thing, and that is the invite. I used to just show the ABC. I mean, Carrie was doing all these meetings all the time, and I said, I don't want to do meetings anymore. I mean, I don't mind going to meetings, but I don't want to do them all the time. And I used to have, I shouldn't even say that. I used to have people in my house that I didn't like it. We redid our whole house, and somebody stole one of our chairs, if you can believe that. I must have been a guest. It must have been a thief. It must have been one of those guys that hold those signs up, next to the freeway or something, I'll do anything for food or money. But anyway, I don't know. But anyway, we missed a chair. We lost a chair. I don't know how we lost a chair, but we lost it. And I've looked under every sofa, and I've looked under the bed, and I can't find the chair. Anyway, so that freaked out my wife. So I'd rather just do things. I'd rather do things like we do them today. And that is, use technology, use the Zoom, use the telephone, use text messaging. There's so many resources that we have. I can just text somebody and say, hey, how are you doing? And I can start a conversation. Hey, I've got something I really like you to look at. Are you open to looking at something? Do you keep your options open? I mean, oh my gosh. But anyway, I'm just going to do a quick phone conversation so you can know when somebody pushes you back that you know what to say, or you have at least some ideas. So let's just say hypothetically that I'm telling somebody, hey, Jason, I've got something you just got to take a look at. And let's say I'm really close with him, because some people you're going to treat a little bit differently because you haven't talked to him for a while. There's only going to be about 3 or 4 or 5 conversations. I'm going to say, look, I've got something you got to check out. And the obvious question is, what is it? So I never, ever just say that. I say, hey, Jason, I've got something you got to look at. Are you in front of a computer and do you have 10 minutes? Because now it's yes or no. It could be what is it, but it's yes or no. And if it's yes or no, then that's really easy. If it's no, I just say, well, when will you be in front of a computer? Then it might be why. But if they say, yeah, I'll be in a computer like 7 o'clock tonight, great. Can I call you at 7:30? I'm getting off the phone as fast as possible. I'm not going to answer any questions. It's a slippery slope. One question ends up being another question, then 15 others, and you might lose them. So that's it. If they push back and say, what is it? I'm going to say, it's a breakthrough technology. When will you be available? If they're not available now. If it's yes, then I'm just going to say, hey, look, on your computer, open up a browser and go to abclivet.com. Let me know when you get there and let me know what you see. So that's simple, right? If they push back and say, come on, Stu, what is it? I'm just going to say it's a breakthrough technology. If they say, come on, well, tell me more. I'm going to say, you know what, I wish I could, but it's like me trying to explain how a text message is sent around the world in milliseconds, or how a cell phone works. I have no clue. You got to see this for yourself. I do not want them to look at this with any prejudice whatsoever. Because if I say anything, if I tell you the sky's blue, or anything, it's going to draw up pictures in your brain. And I don't want to draw up pictures. Like if I say height, or I say down, or I say building, you're going to think, what kind of building is it? I don't want to say vitamin, supplement, nutritional product, business opportunity. I don't want to say anything like that. I want them to look at it with totally an open mind. I can always talk to them about a business opportunity, about disruptive technologies like the cell phone and what that did to the industry, and minivans. I mean, that completely changed the landscape of us taking our kids to school and having a minivan and having all the other kids on the block jump in the van to go. And that was Lee Iacocca's idea. You know, you've got computers and the internet. There's so many technology and so many breakthrough disruptive technologies like Amazon just did that change American culture, change the world culture. And here we are with NRF2 activation that nobody knows about. I mean, you could talk to 1,000 people, and I don't care where you are, and if you're lucky, you'll find 3 people, because it's really 0.3% of the people even know what this is about, even have any idea of Protandim. So you can be confident with just talking to people right now. That might not be the same, 5 years from or 10 years from today, but right now that's the case. And that's why the timing is so critical. We've got a path for you to run on. We've got the path. What we're looking for is we're looking for runners. We're looking for people like Jason and Beatrix. We're looking for people that are runners, because they're the ones that institute and create change. They say, you think one person could make a difference? Absolutely. One person did make a difference to our entire world, So it does happen. It's a movement. It's a happening. And who wouldn't want to help a friend? I said on the call earlier with the Aussies, and I'm not saying this, I'm just saying, what if you had the cure for cancer? Who are you going to share that with? Everybody, people that you love, friends, family, everybody. Well, why wouldn't you share Protandim? I mean, there are studies out there that indicate that Protandim has some profound effect on all kinds of diseases. And let's talk about that real quick, okay? Because you take Protandim for 30 days, and the studies show that it reduces oxidative stress by an average of 40%. When I met with Dr. McCord, he said there's a cumulative effect. Stay on Protandim for 120 days, and it will reduce oxidative stress by an average of 70%. Absolutely every single disease has one common element, oxidative stress. So you think about what kind of impact this could be on your body. It's absolutely amazing and critical. So I'll tell you real quick that I've had several bouts of skin cancer. I used to worship the sun. In fact, when I used to get off the sheriff's department at 7 o'clock in the morning when I worked the jail, my buddy and I'd go down to Coronado, and we'd just take off our shirts and just lay in the sun and just bake. Just bake. I remember when I was growing up, my mom, she used to just drench us with baby oil and iodine. Boy, talk about being in a cooker, So I'm suffering the consequences now, and I've had several bouts of skin cancer. I've had some Mohs surgery and stuff like that. But I get these breakouts every once in a while, and I'm not sure what they are. I had one on my arm. Wow, it's almost totally gone. Anyway, I get these little breakouts every once in a while, and I'll just take True Science. I put True Science on every day. I put it on my head, and I put it on my face, all over, right? But now I put it around my neck, where my neck collar gets kind of hit by the sun, and my arms, I put it all over. It's just incredible. And in those specific areas where I actually feel something, I'll take an extra dab, and I'll dab it on in the morning and at night. And within 2 or 3 weeks, it's gone. It's just, I love these products. I mean, these products are awesome. And I can get into Axio, and I can get into all that stuff. I take Axio every day. Every day I work out, I take it. I feel better. I feel refreshed. I feel invigorated. And it beats drinking coffee at 5:30 in the morning. So, I mean, all I can say is that this has been an incredible experience. And like I did on the Aussie call, and like I've done a couple times, but I don't know who's all out there, so I'm going to do it again. I love this guy by the name of Dr. Tom Barrett. He wrote a book, and actually it's an audio cassette series, a CD series, I guess. Because I can't remember the name of it, I've got to grab it. It's Dare to Dream and Work to Win. Dare to Dream, Work to Win. On the Aussie call, I showed a bunch of books that I've been reading in the past and stuff, and there's some great books out there. And I mean, you can always learn something. Anyway, this is where I learned. I mean, I've always known about geometric progression, and I've learned about compounding because of my background in real estate and banking, but he really hit it home run. He really hit it out of the ballpark for me. And I can't tell you how many times I've used this, because I bought this probably, I don't know, 5 or 6, 7 years ago. And Carrie Dickey and I just devoured this thing. We were telling everybody about it. Hey, you got to get this. It's just awesome. He has a lot of really great points in there that we really don't need because we've got the ABC and it's really simple. You just get people to watch it, right? This is really simple. It's just sharing a video with people. You know, if they're not interested, it's okay. No, thank you. Can I stay in touch with you? I mean, I've had no's. It doesn't bother me. I feel kind of bad that I at least try to get them on the product, but I feel bad that they're just that closed. But, you know, timing is everything, not only for us, but for them. So Tom Barrett, he says that let's say you and a best friend get together and they see it like you do. You know, Michelle and Shawn have brought in a couple best friends and they're working together with those people. And wouldn't that be great? I mean, to be able to travel all over the world. I'd like to say, see you on the beaches of the world. Somebody made fun of me the other day about saying, they said, you know, we don't say beaches of the world. Are you kidding me? We with the Pose on the Mediterranean, you know, we've been to Hawaii with them. We've been all over the world with them on incentive trips. I mean, you spend time on the beaches of the world. It's just phenomenal. Anyway, I'm getting off the tangent here. So you find a best friend and you get started. And all you have to do is agree that you're going to bring in just one person a month to do the business, okay? Now you could do a lot more than that, but I'm just trying to be simplistic and show you what happens. And I'm going to give you a real life example when we're done. So, you know, and I want to share my screen in a second here too, Michelle, whenever you're ready. But anyway, so you and your friend get together. I'm not going to do this real slow because we're running out of time. But in the first month, say June, there's 2 of you. In month 2, July, there'll be 4 of you if you each get one, right? There'll be you, your best friend, they get somebody, and you get somebody. And then it goes 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, 256, 512, 1024, 2048. Are you impressed yet? 2048, 4096. I'm telling you, when you do it over and over and over and over again, mortgages, Michelle was in the mortgage business. When you do it over and over again, at first you go, whoa, I don't know about that adjustable rate mortgage. What's all this stuff, you know? And then eventually you break it down and you do it so many times, it just rolls off your face, you know? But anyway, so you got 4,096 people in 1 year if everybody just gets one. That's a perfect arithmetic progression, and you know life isn't perfect. But let's say everybody was doing $200 a month. That would be over $800,000 in volume. The next month you'd be a pro 10. But let's just say that you're doing $800,000. We get paid 6 different ways. Let's say you just get paid one way. And that's just the unilevel. And let's say the average is about 5%. 5% of $800,000 would be $40,000 a month. Because we have such a huge customer base that I want to show you, because you're building this on solid ground, our product is sticky, people stay on it, you have a base that you can work off. I've never found a network marketing company like that ever before in anything that I've ever worked. People get off of it. You get started. Everybody's a distributor. They get disenchanted. Things don't work out and they quit the product. Not here. And you know, those people could care less about politics or what's going on. They just want to take the product. That's what they're here for. We've got an incredible reorder rate. So you're building this on solid ground, which is nice because the next month it keeps going up. More customers, more customers, more customers. It's awesome. So let's just say, let's put some holes in this, and let's say that half those people dropped out during the year. That's still over 2,000 people, and it's $20,000 a month. That's $240,000 a year, just getting paid one way. That doesn't include the bonuses for being Pro 7, 8, 9, or 10, or 11, 12. It doesn't include anything else, just one way. Let's say another 50% dropped out, still $120,000 a year, or $10,000 a month. What can you do in the next 2, 3, 4 years that can get you to $10,000 a month in residual recurring income? I have not missed one check, one weekly, one monthly check in nearly 7 years. Never. It's like clockwork. I get paid. This company rocks. They pay you on time. They deliver the products on time. So you can go out there with confidence. So let's just kick another hole in this, and let's say, you know, that another half drop out. It's still $5,000 a month. How much would you need to invest at 4 or 5% to get $5,000 a month or $60,000 a year? You know, you could invest $1 million if you got $1 million cash, and you could find a place where you could get a solid return of 6%. Give me a break. Banks are paying 1.5%, 1% right now. If you could get 6%, that's 60 grand a year or $5,000 a month. Here, it's sweat equity, and it's not like digging a trench. You know, it's awesome because you're working with wonderful people like Michelle and Shawn and other people, and it just enlightens you. You get much more in return than you actually give. So I'm going to tell you this. This is the story. And let me show my screen. Oh, there it is right down there. So when I got involved, and I really wasn't interested at the very beginning to get started because I was already involved in a couple other endeavors, and I just didn't think I'd have the time. So what I did is, I came in and I really wanted to get on the products, and then I started working it. And lo and behold, within 5 months, I was a Pro 7, and it was just amazing what happened. And I was having incredible experience on the product. So I don't know if you guys can see this. I'll blow it up a little bit, but this is kind of like my organization. And yeah, Carrie's a big, big part of my organization. And I'm proud to say that I sponsored Carrie. She was one of my good friends, and you never know what's going to happen when you get that ABC in front of people, right? So we've got 146,000 people on AutoShip. 146,000. We've got 9,670 people that are just customers. They order periodically. They're not on AutoShip necessarily. We've got almost 20,000 distributors. So the customers outnumber the distributors by about 8 to 1. And that would be the reason that I believe that we're not in momentum yet, as well as we've had some starts and stops and some challenges along the way. But again, that just leaves the opportunity wide open for everybody. So it's really, really awesome. So with that, I'm going to close this by just saying, because I've gone way longer than I should have, and I told you much more than I even know. But I get on a roll, and this stuff comes from, I don't know where, God, I guess. But I'll just say this, that like Michelle was saying, and I wouldn't say this unless I absolutely embraced it. I've said this many times, but if you're new, if you're old, you're going to hear it again. Sorry, but if you're new, you're going to hear it maybe for the first time, but it won't be the last time, I assure you. But there are really 4 just incredible, magical times in my life. One was meeting my wife, and I met my wife as a consequence of actually being a cop, because she was a waitress in a restaurant. And I turned to my best friend when I saw her, and I saw how she treated customers and how vivacious and happy and unbelievable she was. I said, I'm going to marry her. And lo and behold, we've been married almost 39 years. And, we're still really in love with each other. It's just, we just have a great, great relationship, and she's amazing. So, and that's the reason I'm doing this. I mean, truly, she's been such a magnificent part of helping me and stabilizing my brain and just keeping me in the groove. The other thing was having our 2 daughters, which would be 2 and 3. And our grandchildren has been really a tremendous experience. Just love those grandbabies. But one of the top parts of this whole thing is Lifevantage, because I wouldn't have known Michelle, and I wouldn't have known Mark Gordon. I wouldn't have known a lot of people in our organization. They're just awesome people. I mean, Joanne Parkin and Carrie Williams and Maria Williams. And I mean, the list goes on, and Nikki and Mitchell and Mitch. And I mean, there's just so many people that are salt of the earth, awesome, awesome people that would give you the shirt off their back. And we've built more than a business. We've built relationships. And I love that. I just think it's really awesome. So I'll close with this. I've been around for over 67 years. My family owned pop factories in Pittsburgh, and my grandfather decided that they were moving west because that's where it was happening. And it was just after the Great Depression. And about the time that they put the pop factory up for sale and they moved almost all the family out west, they were approached by a little company called Pepsi-Cola that wanted to give them the region, the eastern region for Pepsi-Cola. But Pepsi-Cola wasn't really known back then. And my grandpa said, "No, we're going west. Sorry, we're going to sell the pop factory." One huge opportunity missed. My family had been in the liquor business in Los Angeles, and they had liquor stores down on Skid Row. And they were selling the cheapest wine, which was Gallo wine. Look at what Gallo wine is today. It's unbelievable. But they were selling the cheapest wine to winos, that were laying in the streets. It's just unbelievable. But the Gallo brothers approached my uncles and my dad when my dad was alive and said, "We want to invite you guys up to Sonoma." And so they flew them up to Sonoma, and they offered them the Western United States for Gallo wine for $50,000. You know what they said? "Yeah, it's too much money." Another big opportunity. So that's why I always say, look, opportunities of this magnitude, of Lifevantage magnitude, come around once or twice in one's lifetime. Is this your first or your second? Don't squander what has been put before you, whether it was God that put this here or whatever reason. Don't even question it. Just move forward through your fears and do it anyway. Michelle, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. I'm sorry I went so long.
No, you are absolutely wonderful, Stu. I have chills on my arms from, you just talking about that.
I've got perspiration.
I told you guys, Stu is just incredible, and he is who he is, and I love his spirit and energy. We have so much fun together, and it is true. One of the very first calls every Monday, there's what's called a motivational call where he and Carrie get us all together and talk about many things. Sometimes it's training, it's testimonials, it's just a lot of information for the week. And when I first got on one of the calls, when I very first joined, I heard Stu say at the end of the call, we'll see you on the beaches of the world. And I had never done this before in my life. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, are these things real? You hear people say this, is it just fluff? Is it this and that? And I've never forgotten that. And we did work real hard that first year. We learned what we have our hands on because we were plugged in, and because I tried to disprove the science of this product. You guys, you can't. I tried, so you can't. The National Institute of Health and Aging did a 10-year federally funded study on our flagship product, Protandim, showing that we are the only product on the planet proven to extend life in male mice. And that came out this past year. The American Heart Association, Stu is mentioning, nobody has what we have. We could go on and on. So get back to the person that shared this with you and ask them, whatever is at your heart or whatever questions that you have, because we are bulletproof and we know what we have, and we just share the information. Like he said, we educate and direct people to that information because it's out there. The National Institute of Health, we're on the NASDAQ, we're an open book. All of us here are an open book. And so when he said, we're on the beaches of the world, I realized how true these people were. I realized that this product that nobody else on the planet has was a gift, and we had to share it with everybody. And I got passionate and had that responsibility. And that next year, within 12 months, we were on the beaches of the world with
Jamaica.
Yes.
Yes.
It's real, and I talk about it all the time when I talk with Stu, because I never forget that. I never forget that, and I never forgot the moment that he spoke with us on the phone and had no clue who we were. I said, we're pro-nothings. We've never done any of this business before. Who are we? That speaks to the character of what we have in our company. So definitely get back to the person that shared this with you. Dig deep, use that intuition that you've got in your gut right now. That's what I had, was the faith. I said, there's something here. That ABC Primetime Investigative Report was positive. Dr. Joe McCord won an Elliott Crescent Medal, like Alexander Graham Bell, Orville Wright, and Henry Ford. That's, you guys, when he said disruptive technology, that's what we have with our products here at Lifevantage. When Shawn and I get on the airplane, I go, oh my gosh, Protandim, it's the airplane. I know that sounds crazy, but it's real. And for 6 years now, we've been watching research go and go and go. In PubMed, when we first got started, there were 7 peer-reviewed published studies. Now there's 22. The science is unbelievable. The people are unbelievable. The timing of this, Stu, it gave me chills. There's a reason that it gave me chills, right? And
yep.
we want this for whoever wants it, and we are all here to help you. And as I said earlier today, and I said to the Williams who are on the call now as well, I said, we are more excited today than when we first got started. And so that speaks volumes to what we have our hands on. And anyway, we don't want to keep you guys. It's Friday night. Have a great evening.
Happy Father's Day.
Thank you for saying that, Stu. Yes. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers. Happy Father's Day to you, Stu.
Thank you.
Thank you for taking the time. Give Carla
my pleasure. Thank you for asking me, Michelle. Love it. Love you.
The world. Love you too.
You guys take care. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye. Thanks, Michelle.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thanks
Have a great
joining.
weekend.